And thank you. It's 6:33, all new for you this morning. A disturbing trend is growing at Oshai Children's Hospital. Despite a drop in calls to Child Protective Services, more children are being admitted for abuse-related trauma. Our I-Team reporter Olivia Proya is taking an in-depth look at this trend and why it might be happening now.
For some children, school is their only safe place.
Children are our most vulnerable population of people, and they're our most precious commodities.
Mandated reporters like teachers are trained to see when a child needs help and then report it to Child Protective Services.
You may not have necessarily seen anything physical, but you have a feeling that something is wrong. You make the call because a child's life may depend on it.
But on March 16th, schools in Western New York closed. Teachers could no longer see their students, and the amount of Child Protective Services reports dropped. From the end of March to June in 2019, the 7 Eyewitness News I-Team discovered there was an average of 270 CPS reports per month. In 2020, the average dropped to about 150. This blue line shows the amount of CPS calls week by week in 2019. The orange line is 2020. Some weeks CPS received less than half the amount of calls as they had the year before.
I do have a concern that the children aren't in school and therefore aren't being exposed to as many mandated reporters.
While the number of CPS reports was down, Oshai Children's Hospital saw drastic changes in admissions.
We have definitely seen an increase in the number of abuse cases that have required admission to the hospital for medical care.
Dr. Michelle Penque says while the volume of children coming to the emergency room has gone down, the amount of abuse-related admissions have at least doubled.
Typically it's 1 or 2 a month. March, April, May, June, it was like 5, 6, 7, and then 10 admissions for suspected abuse.
And Dr. Penque says those injuries are more severe than usual.
There's been an increase in severity, a little bit more multi-system type abuse instead of just one area injured. There's been a couple of areas, and they've seen some unusual injuries, also that they a little bit more severe than normal.
Buffalo Public Schools is continuing remote learning for the beginning of the school year and has established ways to focus on children's safety.
You've got to begin, actively listening and still getting to know your children and getting to know what their normal is and what their normal is not. We're making sure that our counselors and social workers are still working with children, providing small group and individual counseling.
A representative from Erie County says since June, the amount of CPS reports has increased, averaging about the same as 2019. The Department of Social Services says it will continue to work with Oshai, schools, and the community to better protect children. Olivia Proya, 7 Eyewitness News.